Hello and welcome once again to Talking Pictures Podcast. I'm your host David and joined with me as always my co-host Brian. Brian, how are you today?
You're a good.
I was like, what did he just say to me? What did you just call me? Before we get things going, I want to remind everyone, if this is your first time here, welcome. If it's not your first time, welcome back. New episodes every single Wednesday. We have bonus episodes every other weekend, so make sure that you're subscribed to us on your favorite social media apps such as Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, and make sure that you're subscribed to us on your podcasting app of choice, whether that be Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, wherever it is, we're there. Today, Brian, we're going to be talking about some of our favourite Irish actors. The two of us, I don't know if you know this or not, breaking news, we are Irish. So we thought we would talk about some of our fellow countrymen and some of our favourite country women as well, as we discuss some of our favourite Irish actors. So you're going to go first. You're going to talk about three of your favourite Irish actors/actresses. So please, take us away.
I grew up on Liam Neeson.
You grew up, you inject Liam Neeson straight into my veins.
He's just always on screen. I just looked this up and I just said this to you and you agreed. In the quantity of his starring credited on-screen presence in film, 179.
It's a lot of roles. He's a lot. He's a hard-working man.
Apparently his most popular is The Dark Knight Rises, followed by Batman Begins, and then we get into Schindler's List, and then episode 1, and then, by extension, episode 9, and then the Lego Movie, Love Actually, Narnia. Like, I just named 8 movies. So that's just...
He's one of those actors who plays so many iconic characters that he just kind of has nearly a foothold in every single major franchise.
Yeah.
Like,
right.
I always think like, oh, you think you can fight the Batman? He was trained by Liam Neeson. He's Aslan, you know. He is Qui-Gon Jinn.
He trained Obi-Wan.
You know. He's got such a voice. When I think of Liam Neeson, I do kind of automatically go to Qui-Gon. But then as well, like, I sit back and I think about it, and he's the voice of Aslan. That's a voice from my childhood, that he was a strong, powerful presence within my childhood.
I never realised he was Aslan until later in life. And he did fall in a profile like Ryan Reynolds, maybe even like Jason Statham, of playing the same type of character across multiple genre films. Ever since he did Taken.
Yes, he's lent into that genre.
Let me list a couple of titles and see if essentially you could think they're the same type of movie. Now, because these are based on popularity, of course they're not going to be easily found. But Non-Stop, The Commuter, Taken 2 or Taken 3, Unknown, Cold Pursuit, A Walk Among the Tombstones, The Next 3 Days, The Ice Road, Honest Thief, Retribution, Memory, The Land of Saints and Sinners, The Marksman. Do you want me to keep going?
No, I'm looking at the same list you are, right? If you scroll up, if you put the posters for Non-Stop, The Commuter and The Unknown together in a line, you'd be like, oh, these are 3 films that... You know, this is like Taken 1, 2 and 3. They look like they are in the same...
But he did do Taken 1, 2 and 3.
I know, yeah, but these random action films all look like they are the same action film,
Just put Liam Neeson in a situation where he has to save the day and he gets some fools. And some of them are good, better than others. Taken is a great one. And... yeah, that set him off the path and he was great. But, Jesus, Schindler's List.
And really, really high profile stuff. And then as well as that, Michael Collins. Great Irish film. Classic Irish film.
If you ever want to watch a movie that really does embody the history of Ireland, very much depict...
Recent history.
And depict one of Ireland's greatest heroes, Michael Collins is the movie to watch. So, yeah, Liam Neeson, I grew up on him. You know he's now going to star in the lead of the rebooted Naked Gun.
I did know that he was taking over the Leslie Nielsen kind of role.
That's going to be good.
Hopefully so. I remember him being very funny in the likes of Ted 2. He had a short scene in there.
I think, I don't know who he did it with. Was it with Ricky Gervais?
I was about to say, yeah, it's called Life's Too Short. And he has a scene in there. Oh, it's so funny when he's trying to take comedy lessons.
Just look up on YouTube, Liam Neeson, Ricky Gervais. It's a short video clip where Liam Neeson's trying to be funny, but it's just watch it, okay?
It's very, very good.
So yeah, Liam Neeson's one of my all-time favourite Irish actors. Yeah, I'd like to see him progress still. I hear he's a tall man.
So I hear. Very tall. Over 6 foot.
Oh yeah, my next favourite Irish actor, Saoirse Ronan. She worked with Greta Gerwig in Lady Bird and in Little Women. You don't see her in too much, but she's always in those movies that you watch it, there's gonna be some Oscar potential. She's worked with Greta Gerwig, but apparently she's also worked with Wes Anderson.
Yeah, Grand Budapest Hotel.
And apparently The French Dispatch. I actually remember seeing her. One of the earliest ones was The Lovely Bones, and then Hannah, and then The Host. You know, I always did want a sequel to that. I think, though, she was in this movie called The Way Back with Colin Farrell. I think Jim Sturgis was in that as well. I really love that movie. It's about a movie, I think, about a bunch of Russians trying to escape prison camp and walk across the entire country.
During World War II, isn't it?
I think so.
Yeah.
So I really like that. She's got two movies coming out called The Outrun, one where she's battling an addiction and she's got blue hair, and Blitz from Steve McQueen.
I like Steve McQueen.
During the Blitz period of World War II, when they dropped bombs over the city.
I remember being introduced to her in The Lovely Bones. I think that was the first time I saw her, and that is a tough watch. That is a very tough story.
But I didn't think it was that good of a movie.
Did you not? Okay, no, well, I haven't seen it in years. I only saw it when I first saw it, obviously, years ago. But The
Lovely Bones would have been the first one I seen her in, because I seen it in cinemas, and then the rest of them, Way Back, Hannah, even The Host, all on home media. So
I hadn't seen her then until Lady Bird, and I have to say her performance in Lady Bird is absolutely brilliant. Like, the fact that she portrays Lady Bird and it's a midwestern high schooler, and there's absolutely no inclination that she's Irish. Like, she just has like the perfect accent, fits so well into that role. And then as well as that, I do find myself sometimes thinking, like, I should rewatch Little Women. You know, it's not one that I thought ever that I would be thinking to myself, oh, I should rewatch Little Women. Even when I had first seen it, I was a bit like, oh yeah, okay, I guess I'll see Little Women. I wasn't all that interested in it or like excited for it. Then I came out of it, I was like, that was brilliant. I really enjoyed that, and I love her portrayal of Jo in that.
Yeah, she always does it. She has been nominated 4 times in 3 Best Actress and 1 Best Supporting Actress. Atonement, Brooklyn, Lady Bird, and Little Women.
Fantastic.
She's
our age, like, you know.
She's taken down a cottage somewhere in Cork, and she's going to build a home. So yeah, you know, she did a little movie called Faoi with Paul Mescal.
I did, and I heard that one wasn't too great. So
yeah, that's why I haven't mentioned it.
I wasn't going to bring it up, but yeah.
But I just wanted to talk about her. But yeah, Saoirse
Ronan.
Oh, even I'm pronouncing it wrong.
That's how I've always pronounced it. Saoirse. Yeah, either way is fine. That's the pronunciation of it. Saoirse or
under the borders of Loud and Mead. I think it's Irishly acceptable for it. So my last one, David, I just want to give a real good shout out to one of my favourite Irish actors, who would be more known by his face and popping up in an awful lot of content, but no one will probably know his name. He shares a surname with one of our good friends.
No relation though.
No.
As far as we know, if he has, he's been holding on to that now.
Yeah, we'll be having a few words about, hey, how are you related to Liam Cunningham? Dramatic pause, I know. You don't know who Liam Cunningham is. That's okay. He was Sir Davos Seaward. And
in Game of Thrones.
So there's no point in listening to this podcast if you don't know the name Sir Davos Seaward. Unfortunately, his most popular movie is The Last Voyage of the Demeter. Demeter, okay.
At least that's how I'd pronounce it. I don't know. I could be wrong.
I saw it in Vienna. I won't be seeing it again.
Yeah.
But he's got an awful lot of appearances in the movies that you just see him pop up, and a lot of them Irish as well. But you probably don't know him. You mentioned Hunger before recording this, and yeah, he shares one of the best scenes with Michael Fassbender. He plays the priest trying to convince
him to come off the hunger strike. Yeah, it's going to kill him. Yeah.
And the most standout thing about that scene is that it's an unedited, uncut 20-minute take.
20-minute take. So he and Michael Fassbender live together, and they would just practice. They would sit at the kitchen table and just practice that scene. It's 20 minutes of dialogue, back and forth, uncut, single camera. It's fantastic. It's brilliant.
Well, if only I had more time to talk about that, because I want to talk about the many appearances he has in very good movies, like The Wind That Shakes the Barley.
Oh my god, what a fantastic... That's up there with, I'd say... I think that is my favourite Irish film.
Irish film or Irish War for Independence film?
I like favourite Irish film.
Okay.
Like,
I think Michael Collins might be my favourite. It's kind of funny. I could watch Michael Collins and then watch a spin-off sequel in that of The Wind That Shakes the Barley. And I like how Liam Cunningham has quite a central role in that. But, you know, you think he'd be the wise man, but he's not. He's just experienced. And then I think I really fully started to pay attention to him in Safe House.
Okay, never seen it.
You never seen Safe House?
No.
He's got 2 quick scenes with Denzel Washington. He's in a few type of sword and horse and shield and sandal movies. He's in A Guilty Pleasure of Mine, Dog Soldiers. He's in an awful lot of... And he's worked with a lot of Irish actors as well. But he's just not got the boost and popularity he deserves. And he's a proud dub. And I believe he lives in Dublin. And he was one of the best characters in Game of Thrones. And very appreciative of that.
He's a very moral character in Game of Thrones. I feel like whatever he was doing, I trusted him, you know?
Yeah. And how great is that to have? And I thought he was also one of the better aspects of Three Body Problem.
Okay, haven't seen that yet.
You haven't seen Three Body Problem?
Not yet.
So I hope you don't feel like I spoiled it for
No,
you.
not at all.
But yeah, he pops up in it and he actually says, I know, coming from a dub like me. So it's like he mentions that as well. So I thought he was very great in that as one of the Game of Thrones casted actors to appear in another show from the writers of Game of Thrones into Three Body Problem.
Yeah.
It was great. And so yeah, I really want to see him more. And he's around the same age, I think, of Liam Neeson, but Liam Neeson's just a household name.
Yeah.
I would like to see Liam Cunningham more. You know, David, call me crazy, but if Amazon were to produce a spin-off of The Boys set in Ireland,
you would like to see...
I would like to see every Irish actor
every
in
single
that
one.
Show. Every Irish actor alive, and just sprinkle on in who you want, however you can, and that includes another Game of Thrones Irish actor, Aidan Gillen. Just throw them all in there. I just want to see a big, crowded collection, ensembles of Irish actors working together. I just love it. I just like seeing that interaction amongst for example, the last 2 Oscar screenings, like, it was great to see the likes of Colin Farrell with Barry Keoghan, and then again Colin Farrell and Barry Keoghan back when Dunkirk came out. You know what I mean? So I just like to see that. So those are my 3.
That was good. I'm gonna pick 3 then as well. I hope it's okay to do some honourable mentions at the end, because I think that it's only fair. But I'm going to go with 3 that are not newer actors, but I have kind of experienced them over the last couple of years. I'm going to go with first one being Michael Fassbender. You mentioned him a little bit earlier. He obviously, he's not traditionally Irish. He's half Irish, half German.
Saoirse Ronan is half American. So
is she? Okay, I didn't know that. Okay, that's all right then. But Michael Fassbender, he is an actor who I just love seeing in no matter what he's in.
Did you love him in The Killer?
I did. I liked him in The Killer. He's my favourite part of The Killer.
Well, then you like The Killer. His role in Inglourious Bastards in the middle of the movie is a great breakaway to watch some tension.
Exactly. That's what I mean. That he's not the central character, but when he pops up, you're like, oh, okay, brilliant. I'm here for it.
I like seeing him play off just ever so briefly with Brad Pitt.
Exactly, yeah. That there's not much of him there, but he's able to hold his own in the scene. You know, he's not he is commanding the scene. He's not the main aspect of the film, but he's commanding the scene. And it was the same with that the recent Kneecap film. He plays one of the characters' father. He's a central point or a central plot point in the film.
He gets the "and" in the credits.
Exactly, yeah. He's not a main character, but he is central to the plot. And so anytime he comes on screen, you're
paying attention to him.
You sit up.
If for anything else, you know, this is Michael Fassbender in what appears to be an indie Irish produced film.
But then he also is able to hold his own when it comes to appearing in major franchises like X-Men. He plays Magneto, Eric Lenscher, in the X-Men films. And he did something that I thought was very, 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 very difficult.
Throw another very in there.
A very, very difficult thing. He comes in, he is playing a character that has already been established in that of Ian McKellen. He plays a younger version of that character. And I think that his interpretation, his version of the character, is able to be put and stand right beside Ian McKellen's version. I think that they both played this character in extraordinary ways, and I'd be happy to, if I ever saw any version of Magneto going forward, whether it be Ian McKellen or Michael Fassbender, I'd be happy with either. I think he does a great job of portraying that character.
I think Michael Fassbender made Magneto the most favourite character in the 4 movies he appears in.
Oh yeah, he is by far the best character. And I think it's so funny in First Class, we actually talked about this with we guested on Nathan Lawrence's podcast on Another Happy Pod. We talked about First Class. But what I love about Magneto in those films is that even though he's the villain, it's so difficult to root against him because of his motivations and where he comes from, his background.
Well, when someone's killing Nazis, it's pretty.
Yeah, it's hard to argue with him.
Yeah.
He has some great scenes. And then just before I move on, I think one of his best performances is in Steve Jobs, where he plays the titular Steve Jobs, directed by Danny Boyle. It's a fantastic film. Have you seen this?
I have seen it. And do you want to know something that's very strange? I've seen it once. The most memorable scene is the rooftop. Do you want to know who I picture when I see the actor playing Steve Jobs?
Who?
It's not Michael Fassbender. I know it's him. I've seen the movie. His name's on the credit. But for some reason, the image in my memory does not place Michael Fassbender's face. Do you want to know who it places?
Who?
Tom Hiddleston.
I can understand that. I think him and Tom Hiddleston would be like, you put them in the same category.
Like, remember when he says, the name of the computer doesn't mean anything. I did name it after you. When he says that, I genuinely feel like I'm picturing Tom Hiddleston with an emotional face. I don't know why. It's just
That's strange.
It's just an off-topic thing, but you brought it up, so I just wanted to put that in there.
It's a great performance by Michael Fassbender of Steve Jobs, and it takes place over 3 separate periods of his life. So he gets to play kind of a young, arrogant Steve Jobs, a scorned Steve Jobs, and then someone who's a little bit more certain in themselves and where they are and what they're producing, what they're showing to the world. So
I must watch that again.
It's funny because whilst doing the research for this topic, I came across it and was like, that's one I really need to watch again as well. It's a great film, and by one of my favourite directors, Danny Boyle.
Unfortunately, he's been in a lot of stinkers recently.
He does have a little bit of a...
If you put his filmography in newest release order...
I'm going to do it right now.
Yeah, you do that right now, because when you look at that, you're going to see from Assassin's Creed to The Snowman.
Yeah, he's been in not a whole lot as of recent. He did unfortunately star in Next Goal Wins, which was Taika Waititi's film that just kind of landed flat on its face.
I wish that and The Killer propelled his stardom, but I guess it did not.
He took off a long time because he had Dark Phoenix, which was one of the last X-Men films. That was 2019, and then wasn't in anything until he had The Killer and Next Goal Wins, both in 2023. So he had taken a couple of years off, and both of those films didn't do very commercially well, so kind of fell a little bit flat.
I really want to see him come back.
Yeah, I hope so too. I mean, I really enjoyed him in Kneecap as well. So
and hey, he can qualify as someone's favourite German actor.
Absolutely, yeah.
Maybe he plays a great German.
Maybe there's a German podcast who's doing their favourite German actors, and someone on that is going, this doesn't count because he's half Irish. But no, we'll move on then. One of my next favourite Irish actors, Robert Sheehan, who is someone who I've predominantly seen in television shows rather than in
Movies.
movies.
That's the other thing. That's not a TV show.
Yeah, it is. Predominantly seeing him in shows like Misfits, Love, Hate, and Umbrella Academy.
Did you watch Love, Hate?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. He is essentially the main character for a few seasons.
For the first 3 seasons.
Yeah, he is the lead character. He led that show. That's crazy.
It is, especially because I think when a lot of people think of Love, Hate, well, I know what I do. I don't think of him.
I think of Nidge.
I think of, Nidge. When Aidan Gillen's character, he's kind of the big bad of season 1.
And he is the billing name.
He is. And then when he goes at the end of season 1.
2.
2? You sure?
Swear to God. I swear.
I'd fight you on that. But
no, you won't, because I will win. I'm telling you, buddy.
When I feel like then Nidge obviously takes over and Darren, Robert Sheehan's character, takes a little bit of a step back.
Yeah.
But then because of that, I always think of Nidge as the...
he's the overall, because he's in it.
Character.
He's in it from the get go. He actually opens the first scene, so that's pretty good.
And then I predominantly knew him from Misfits.
I haven't watched Misfits.
Oh, Misfits it's a real show of its time. It's a lot like I think how a lot of people would feel about Skins.
Is it in Irish or in
It's English?
It's English. Okay.
And it's actually interesting because our recent episode where we talked about Umbrella Academy, he obviously plays a character who is immortal and can speak to the dead, exactly the same as his Misfits character. That's his superpower in Misfits.
Wait, what?
Misfits is a show about young offenders who are doing community service, and a freak storm happens and they all gain superpowers.
How can a show like that, from what I'm assuming is under the same type of budget as Young Offenders or Skins, afford superpowers? Because
they do it in the same way that the powers themselves are never so much that they require a big budget.
Okay.
Like, one of the characters can read minds, so all it takes is voiceover.
That's fairly cheap.
Another one then is a character who can turn invisible. So
that's even cheaper.
Yeah. So the only thing that really needs to happen for his power to activate is they'll do a kind of a scene where, I'm going to do this visually for you, Brian, where like they'd move their head around like this, and then they speed it up really fast. So it's like he's going through like a little bit of a
rigmarole.
A bit of a rigmarole, and then all of a sudden he's invisible, and we can still see him, but the other characters can't. Or
what?
I know, he's invisible.
What?
And then Robert Sheehan's character is immortal. We find that out at the end of the season. They play it as a joke where the whole season he's trying to find out what his powers are,
right?
And then he's killed at the end of it, and then he wakes up in his coffin that he finds out that he can't die.
Oh, so now I understand the comparisons in the 4th season of the Umbrella Academy.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I am not going to watch Misfits thinking they copied Umbrella. No, I can acknowledge that's not the case because it came out first. But I've watched Umbrella Academy first. I watched it knowing this is Robert Sheehan from Love, Hate. And that's it. And I am so thrilled that he became part of that.
Yeah, it's great. It's
that IP.
Yeah, we talked about, obviously, we won't get into it too much. We talked a lot about him in our Umbrella Academy episode.
He's one of the fan-favoured, beloved characters.
Yeah, absolutely. I just love seeing him.
Yeah,
you know?
He's not the scene stealer, but he is a scene stealer. Good pick. Nice pick.
Thank you. And then my final pick then for favourite Irish actor. This was a tough one. This guy was a tough pick because he has 2 sons who are also actors, and I was half thinking about picking them, but...
No, you weren't.
I was thinking about picking Donald Gleeson, but I'm not. I'm going to pick Brendan Gleeson. Brendan Gleeson is just... I think, when I think Irish actor, I think Brendan Gleeson.
When I think Irish actor, I think Brendan Gleeson, but then I remember, Liam Neeson.
Yeah, you go straight to him.
Just they have Eason in their surname.
Exactly, yeah, they're close enough.
It's funny that in Michael Collins... Liam Neeson plays Michael Collins, but Brendan Gleeson's also in the latter half of that movie. Want to know an interesting thing?
Yeah.
Brendan Gleeson plays Michael Collins in a TV movie.
What's that?
I can't remember.
Oh, brilliant. Thanks for bringing it up.
I remember watching it in school, and he played Michael Collins, and he rode a bike in it, and Eamon De Valera is still a prick. But yeah, that's just interesting. Everyone says that England is an island of actors, but here we are over here. We're a small island. We're a small island, but there's plenty of us.
He obviously has had a lot of roles, including some in the Harry Potter series. He plays Mad-Eye Moody.
He is standout star of that fourth film because he's the professor introduced to teach in the dark arts. Isn't that right?
Yeah.
They always change who's the teacher this
That's
time.
the one. There's a new Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher every year.
And he was fun. Brendan Gleeson as Mad Eye Mooney was fun.
He was a bit different because even though each year they obviously get rid of that teacher, this is a teacher that wasn't outwardly trying to present themselves as nice, and then we find out that there's nefarious things going on. It's like there's something not right here. There's something fishy, but like he's also helping Harry and his friends.
Isn't that funny? It's like now you make me want to watch it because you're looking at this guy, up to that point. I'm sorry, we're getting on a sidetrack, but Remus Lupin was the most Defense Against Dark Arts teacher who is there to protect and guide Harry, whereas this other guy at the opposite end being more harsh and vicious and very rigid, but he has his quiet, sensitive moments to help Harry in his office, providing reassurances. Remember when he points Harry in the direction when he's in the maze?
Which way to go in the maze, yeah.
Like,
even though that
feels like a very uncle type of thing to do, looking out for his nephew, and I love that. And then your heart is ripped out knowing that it's David Tennant.
It's a bad guy. He also appears then he's got some great comedy chops because films like The Guard and In Bruges and one of the funniest films of the last couple of years, Banshees of Inisherin.
Yeah. He's in a few rom-coms as well. And he's done a few toddler audience-based movies in Smurfs and Paddington.
Paddington 2, yeah.
So...
And
he's quite diverse enough in himself, and I do love Brendan Gleeson quite a lot. And I think if you were to put certain Irish actors under the same banner and category to compete with, you put Colin Farrell and Cillian Murphy and maybe even Michael Fassbender in the same league. There's only two people at least in this one senior league, and that's Liam Neeson and Brendan Gleeson. Them two are the grandfathers of Irish actors that are still today in our day and age. And Brendan Gleeson's brilliant, and it's nice he's worked with Michael Fassbender and Cillian Murphy and Colin Farrell, and it's brilliant. He was even in the Assassin's Creed movies.
He was,
and I don't like to see his sons be tied to him as much. Brendan Gleeson's son Brian Gleeson played a younger version of him in Assassin's Creed, and then even by extension his son Brian plays the father
of Donald Gleeson's character in
the Star Wars. So, and I want them all to
play
succeed.
brothers. Donald and Brian Gleeson play brothers in Darren Aronofsky's film Mother.
Did they?
Yeah. So they are kind of connected in a lot of ways just because they...
Red hair?
Because they're red hair and they're two actors and they have that chemistry that they are related. So I would like to see them break out of that. But I think Donald Gleeson has broken out of that Brendan Gleeson's son kind of. I don't think with Brian, because I think he looks actually a lot like Brendan Gleeson. They look a lot more like each other.
Yeah. I seen Brian Gleeson in something not too terribly long ago, and I thought he was brilliant. What was it?
Bad Sisters.
Yes. That's it. If you haven't watched Bad Sisters, all right, that's a great show to feature a lot of Irish actors, and Brian Gleeson. That's who I was thinking of. He's great in Bad Sisters. He's brilliant, and he plays it off Darren McCormick as well. He's also Irish. Great. If you haven't watched Bad Sisters, put it on your list. You should watch it.
Absolutely. I feel as though that Donald and Brian Gleeson are two honourable mentions, but two other guys I'd like to honourably mention. Hopefully we talk about them in another episode in the future, but they're just too young to have etched their way into the favourite category, and that being two that we've mentioned before, Paul Mescal and Barry Keoghan. I think that both of them are phenomenal actors.
Yeah.
I really enjoy seeing both of them, no matter where they crop up. I'm really looking forward to Paul Mescal in Gladiator 2.
I'm really looking forward to hoping and wishing and wanting and having a desire to have seen Barry Keoghan in Gladiator 2.
I know. I think Paul Mescal in Normal People is one of my favourite performances ever. I love him as Connell.
It's great to have now witnessed the birth of these two guys.
Yeah,
we've seen it since in the last few years. It's great that we've seen the birth of these two guys, and Yeah, we'll just mention every other Irish actor there is in that of Cillian Murphy and Colin Farrell.
Yeah, they're all honourable mentions.
The reason we haven't chosen them two because of the same reason we didn't pick Joker as one of our favourite Batman villains.
Too obvious. Yeah.
Too obvious.
Yeah.
But quite a list.
Yeah.
That's it. Wow.
That was quick.
That was very quick. There was one more actor I just want to give a shout out myself.
Fire away,
This is Aidan Gillen.
Aidan Gillen, yeah. That's the thing, is a lot of these films that we've talked about feature a lot of the other people that we were talking about. Like I Had Hunger, which has Michael Fassbender and Liam Cunningham, and then Aidan Gillen is in Love Hate with Robert Sheehan and Brian Gleeson, like we mentioned. So,
and he's also in Game of Thrones.
And he's in Game of Thrones with Liam Cunningham. So
a lot of these throw Queen Hines in there.
Throw them all in. Fuck it.
He was also in Game of Thrones.
But they a lot of them cross paths. But please, talk about Aidan
What
Gillen.
I love about Aidan Gillen is he has led such a substantial, successful career in TV shows. Before everyone knew him in Game of Thrones, before everyone would have maybe known him in Love Hate, depending on what came out first, I forget. He was in The Wire.
I never actually saw The Wire.
I know, but The Wire is considered one of the best TV shows ever, if not The Sopranos. And he was introduced in the third season, and he got one of his starts there. And he's now something of a recurring actor to be casted in Taylor Sheridan shows. He was in Those Who Wish Me Dead, and he's in Mayor of Kingstown. Like, he would fly from Dublin to America to film those scenes, and he has a bit of an iconic voice himself. And I think that I swapped him out for Saoirse Ronan, because at the end of the day, as much as I love him, I just think that he's never going to be my favourite.
Yeah, I can understand.
And just to throw another connection in there, in the Dark Knight trilogy.
Yeah, he starts off the third film.
Liam Neeson's in that, and Cillian Murphy's in that. A heap of Irish lads in this movie, so my brother says.
I would just like to also, just before we wrap it up, I just looked it up, and Aidan Gillen is in 2 seasons of Love Hate. So you are right. I'm sorry, we don't need to fight. You are right.
I won. Yeah. I won that. Win, Brian.
Thank you so much for joining us for this.
Sorry, I just wanted to brag about that, because
that's all right, man.
That's all right. You know, when you win, you win.
When you win, you win.
When you win, you win.
Yeah. Like I said at the top of the show, make sure to follow us on all of our social medias. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're on Instagram, we're on TikTok, we're on Letterboxd, absolutely everywhere. All of our links are in the description down below. Make sure that you're subscribed to us on your favourite podcasting platform, whether that be Apple Podcasts, Spotify. We're on YouTube as well, so make sure that you're following us there, and all of our socials are down below. Brian, any final words?
If you've any Irish actors you think we didn't talk about,
we'd love to hear them.
Yeah, and who are some of your favourites? And Sláinte.